And when we talk about that, the last question is, when should a business consider using a call center like yours? What's the thought process that one would go through to make that decision?
That's a very good question. And if I may, I have to, I guess, say something for my own piece. I would prefer, Michael, that people choose me for merit over price. I can name 10 call centers that can do it for half my cost in the Philippines and India or anywhere in town. So if that's your first question for me, I'll answer you by saying $1,000 an hour. They go, no, you're not. And I go, of course I'm not. What's your second question? At least just to see what they have to say. And then a lot of the times on those calls, because people shop around, which they should, and people do know certain telemarketing, they have done it in-house, but they've never outsourced. So maybe they're not familiar with some of our infrastructure, our reporting, our supervision, onboarding, training, quality assurance. They've just done it with a half a dozen guys in their office. And a lot of the times they have unrealistic expectations. Sometimes people have to go through a certain process with me so they qualify. I reject more campaigns than I accept because I'm very selective. I use the SMART theory: specific, measurable, agreed upon, realistic, and time frame oriented. But to answer your question in a certain way, anybody that would like to scale their company, maybe compare apples to what they're doing to my structure here. We're very price comparable to the United States, including full benefits here. I don't force hands, I don't twist arms. And from an educated point of view, potential clients make a decision about working with me. And most of the time, and I will be candid about this, it's price. And how can I compete when we're the most expensive in Central America? But we also have the best infrastructure, if that's important to you. We also have Spanish language capacity. We're very close to the United States. We're on certain time zones. And we have a democratic society here. We don't have an army, so there's a 95% literacy rate. So one of the questions that I would ask as, let's say, a salesman is, since I have these skills and you're asking me because I'm 50% more, am I capable of doing 1.5 an hour compared to just 1 an hour? If I put it on a predictive dialer, if I speak in Spanish, if I use Richard's coaching, if we do rebuttals, if I do voicemails, am I capable of doing 0.5 more? Because you're saying you pay half. Well, then that's fine. Put me on a level playing field. Maybe my agents are capable with the skills that they possess and the coaching and the environment that they have, and I've seen it, to do 0.5 more, which means that we even out and I'm worth my cost and then we get the seats. But my goodness gracious, I can't do 20 calls an hour. You know, if the average one is 10, you can't make up time. But those are the sort of questions that I would ask to see if it would be a good fit or not. But I do appreciate anybody that calls me. I mean, they must have found me on the internet through search engine optimization or read an article or at least took the time to reach out. And so I almost tell them to put their checkbooks away. No one sends me money on a first phone call. It's my pleasure to share information. And I hope that I shared plenty with your audience today, because there's so much more I could share, but there's only so much time. But I believe that I shared with you my best, where it would give somebody such great foundation training where, Michael, all they do is just dedicated practice. If they just do things when the cameras are off and no one's around and they just practice their kicks, punches, and painting their guitar, they're going to be amazing artists of speech. But the one thing is, when they're too well rehearsed and they're too commercialized, they're not raw anymore. They lose that sort of spark and character that they first started off this journey with. And that's pretty much my final thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's excellent. That was a nice little nugget right there at the end too, Richard. So thank you very much for sharing with us today. We're grateful for the time that you spent with us, because you're running a busy and successful business down there in Costa Rica. So I'm grateful.
Thank you, Michael.